Man, but I'm so excited you're on today. I mean, because you are truly, I've known you for years, but you're truly a inspiration. You're a certified entrepreneur. I mean, you're from ground up, and just what you do in this community is amazing. So
thanks, man.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to chat with you about, quite a few things actually today. And I know we've been talking all morning.
Yep.
So, being an entrepreneur now, and where you're at in your career with everything, how many years now have you been in the landscape business?
Well, landscaping specifically, I've been in that. I got dabbling in that in 2014, so 4 years.
Okay.
But I've been in the industry since I was 13 in junior high, when I started mowing neighbors' lawns.
Okay.
And so that's technically, I guess that'd be 15 years.
That's a long
15,
time.
Yeah, coming up on 16.
And I know a funny story about your childhood, because
Okay.
I've heard the story before, and I want you to tell it real quick. But about the story when you got your first bow.
Sure.
With your father.
Yeah.
Share that story with me again, real quick.
Okay. Well, so when I was growing up, archery was like the thing. It's the only thing that mattered. Mm-hmm. Most kids have got like their toy or their teddy bear or their thing. I slept with a bow, literally.
Wow.
And
how old are you when you started doing that?
Two. Started shooting. I actually started shooting at the age of 3.
Jeez.
And it's because Dad loved it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so naturally, I loved it.
Yeah.
What Dad loves, I love. And so
Right.
I started to do that, and from that age to 13 roughly, it's really all that consumed my mind was hunting and archery, and so at that age, I was obviously growing, and I had outgrown my bow, and so I told my dad, I just said, hey, I need a new bow. Well, he proceeded to take me to the store, and then I looked at a bow and I said, I'll get that bow, and he said, hey, that's a good bow. Like, I think it'll do you well, Michael. All that, and it's $249, and I basically said, yeah, well, okay, let's get it. He's like, well, how are you gonna pay for it? So he put it back on me, and he made me recognize that that if there was something that I wanted, I had to figure out a way to make it happen. And so I was pretty crushed, and I had to figure that out. And so basically he offered to lend his lawnmower to me, and he said, go knock on the neighbor's door, see if you can get some lawns. And it was at that point that that I really started to recognize like values exchange, and I didn't fully understand that, and still to this day.
Right.
There's a lot that I'm still learning, but it was very much a lesson rooted in truth and in hard work. And at the you might hear that story and be like, man, that's kind of harsh. Like your dad didn't buy you a toy that you're still a kid. And I think for a long time growing up that I think initially I kind of felt that same way too. And then now that I am where I am today, I look at that as the catalyst of where I am today. And I recognize that it was one of the greatest gifts that my parents ever gave me.
So did you start cutting lawns then right away with your dad's lawnmower?
Yeah.
And did you buy that bow?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah, I got the bow. And shortly after I ended up, I think 3-4 years later, I ended up getting a new bow because I, continued to grow. And from then on out, it was, I got the thing, I had to work for the things that I wanted.
That's kind of basically where you got your start in landscaping. Your dad saying, here's a lawnmower. Start trying to knock on doors and earn some money. Because you need to afford to buy things now, and I want to teach you what it takes to earn, to buy things, and that's where it started. Yeah. When you were 13.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I continued doing that through junior high and high school, and then did a little bit of it in college, and truly I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew that I wanted to build a company. Like that's all I knew, but I had no idea like how to actually do it. And that journey was my education. It forced me to learn, It forced me to understand what a budget was. It forced me to understand what a 1099 was and a W-2 was, and how to hire somebody, and how to, map something out, and what customer service actually looked like, and communicating with the client. And it taught me all of those things. And it also taught me that if I wanted to actually build a company and actually be an entrepreneur, that I actually had to do these things, and I had to do them well.
Right.
Well, I didn't know how to do them well. I truly didn't. And so I had to learn. And a lot of that learning came through the form of pain and struggle and frustration and screwing things up and upsetting somebody and not following through on my word, or whatever it was. But that's the form that it came in.
But you think a lot of that came from the way that your parents, specifically your father, kind of helped instill in that you at a very young age that this is what it would take, and kind of put you through some trials and tribulations younger, where most kids would never get that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would start later on in life.
Absolutely. I mean, I can remember in junior high and high school primarily. I mean, he wasn't super aggressive or anything, but I can recall mornings in high school. It'd be 7:30 in the morning, and I'd get a rap on my door. Boom, boom, boom. Lawns ain't gonna mow themselves. Get up. Okay. Most kids, most 15-year-olds are probably sleeping, and they're, wasting their time. And
right.
This was my father. This was the thing that he recognized, and this is the truth. Like, you have to work for whatever it is that you want. And nothing is just going to be given to you, Michael. This is the way it is. And he was affirmed in that, and he was going to teach me that.
Because I'm sure that's how he was raised, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know exactly how he was raised, but I do know that there were situations that he had to buy his first car, he had to buy his baseball cleats, he had to buy his baseball glove. Like, he wanted to do those extracurricular things. He wanted to go and have the thing. He had to work for it. He had to figure out how he was going to make it happen.
Right.
And I think that he recognized that the value of work ethic and what that did to him down the line, through his education, through his work, through and then on into his career, and into his family. It all was that foundation of, hey, if I want something, whatever that thing is, like, I have to work for it, and I'm going to work day and night for it until I accomplish it. Absolutely. Whatever it takes, I'm going to work for it, I'm going to get it done. And then he just proceeded to do that. And so, that's...
Yeah. So I know back in high school, you were into wrestling, and you did wrestle. Did you play any other sports?
I played football.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the way through high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I did.
So how much do you think can you attribute high school, sports in general, growing up? Did sports play a big role, do you think, in your upbringing and in teaching you these skills to being a successful entrepreneur and battling through what it takes to be successful as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think it definitely. I'll be honest. I did not love football. It was not my first love, and nor was wrestling until probably my senior year. I didn't really recognize how much I loved wrestling.
Yep. Until
my senior year, but the mindset that was developed, because that is a very key developmental stage in an individual's life.
Yep.
But the mindset that was absolutely required out of me in the wrestling room, out on the mat, wherever I was, it was, hey, if you want something, well, then you have to go make it happen.
Yep.
And as you know very well, wrestling is a sport of pain. I mean, it's not an enjoyable. Most sports aren't, right?
Right.
You have to push the body and break, and
yep.
And in this case, I didn't fully recognize, that I was never anything grand at the sport. Okay.
Right.
And I didn't recognize that until my senior year, that really what it took for me to actually be successful at the sport was commitment.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I committed myself to the sport and to a goal, and I had a goal of placing at state, right, my senior year.
Yeah.
Well, when I set that goal, I actually went and I did it. But prior to that, you know, I always had a belief that I'm not that good of a wrestler. Like, I'm not that skilled. You know, I've got you know, my teammates can beat me and, you know, whatever. And that drove a belief in me that, well, I you know, I'm not that grand. And then all of a sudden I started to, you know, be able to take certain guys down in the wrestling room. And then I started to win certain matches. And then I started to place at some tournaments. And then I became ranked in the state. And I was like, what's going on here? You know, and it was then that I was like, oh, I can actually win. But I just need to commit myself. Oh, okay. And so I started to do that. I started to run after practice, and I started to lift after practice, and I started to, you know, run in the mornings, and you know, doing the extra thing. And again, mindset.
Yeah.
Well, I had to have the mindset that, I need to commit myself to this thing, and then I need to go and do the work that is required to actually accomplish the thing that I want.
Yeah, and that's where I, you know, jump in, and I know a lot of people, there's a conflict in our world about, hey, are sports really that important? And I know, you know, there's back and forth on it, and like, you know, kids should start working in high school and middle school, and they don't have time for sports. They need to get a job right away. And I really think, you know, that can cause a problem, because I think kids, they do, you know, getting a job and stuff like that in high school is great. It is, but to not do any sports, I think that shorts kids big time.
In the long run.
I think there needs to be a balance, and having kids work at a young age, you know, getting a summer job in high school and stuff like that is all great. But man, sports, I mean, you look at a lot of people that have done a lot of amazing things in our world, and the things that sports teach them throughout their lives, like teamwork, hard work, doing the extra things, you don't get those if you're not part of a sport, and you don't have coaches that can help motivate you, push you, take you through wins and losses, and how do you learn how to take a loss, and how do you learn how to take a win and build on that if you're not in sports and you're not competing?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't necessarily know, and I don't know how you quantify it, but I don't know personally of anybody that has succeeded in grand things and didn't have at least a level of competitiveness.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Well, and where does competitiveness come from? You know, where does that taught? Where is it ingrained in an individual that, hey, I'm going to do this because I can do it, because simply that.
Yep.
You know, and I think that a lot of those things are taught, to your point, you know,
in sports. Yeah, and you know, obviously we're a little biased to wrestling, and what wrestling does for somebody. But I mean, you throw out a lot of other sports that can teach you the same life lessons. You know, there's those individual sports, you know, like wrestling, but then you got your team sports too that can teach you a lot of amazing things as a person. That I think that, you know, parents and in general, I mean, getting your kids involved with sports, and it doesn't matter. You can. Even if you start putting them into sports at a young age and figuring out which one they like and which one they want to stick through, but even if they don't right away, let's say they're 7 or 8 or 9 years old and they're like, I don't want to do sports. I kind of feel like as a parent and knowing what I know now, that's kind of a situation where you got to be like, well, that's too bad. You're going to do sports until you graduate college, because I want you to understand the life lessons and the things that are going to be taught. And then after that, when you go off to college, that's up to you. But, you know, hopefully throughout that process, they're going to fall in love with one of those sports.
Yeah.
And it's the people you meet. It's the friendships that you get through those sports as well, that it's priceless, don't you think?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I don't think that I don't think I could put a price on that. No.
No.
Now I do know that if I could go back,
if you could go back, you know, what are you talking about now?
Knowing what I know now.
Okay, talk about
that. Knowing what I know now, I mean, I do believe that, I mean, and people get caught up on the trophy or the championship or, you know, whatever, and say like, well, what's it really matter? And okay, maybe there's an argument to that. Like in the long run, like, what's it really matter? And it's not about the trophy. It's not about the title. It's about what it took here
Yep.
to do that thing. And so if I could go back knowing what I know now, I'm pretty confident that I would have done a lot more in the sport. A lot more in the sport. But,
right.
Obviously it took me on this journey, and it took me to where I am today.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think about that all the time. Every week, for sure. I think about, back when even wrestling, for sure. So in wrestling, high school, college, I look back and there's a lot of things I accomplished and I can look back on, but there's not a week that goes by where I say, if I could have that opportunity back, or if I could do it over and I got implanted into my junior year in high school. It's funny because I did a lot, but I know for a fact I would train harder.
Absolutely.
Way harder than I did. And I thought I trained really hard, but I usually trained about 11 months out of the year. So I didn't really have an off season.
Sure.
But I would have done, some parts of my year I'd do 2-a-days. I would have done this. I would have went out to this camp.
But it's that mindset,
Yes.
You're talking about a mature, the mind of a man versus the mind of a child.
Yep.
I mean, two completely different things, and so
very true. But that's the power of, I think, as parents, as coaches,
yes,
as mentors, that the things that we learn. Why can't we,
having that wisdom,
yes,
and that understanding to tell your child, like, I'm sorry, son or daughter, like, you don't fully understand what I'm doing yet, but you need to trust.
That's right. Because if we know that we would have done way more, we need to empower and we need to instill that into our youth and into our kids. So like the kids I coach and the people that I'm around, I should do my best to show them that and tell them that hey, you feel like you're doing a lot right now, but I promise you 10, 15 years from now, you don't want to look back and go, I wish I would have went to these camps. I wish I would have trained harder. I just thought hanging out with my friends or doing these other extracurricular things that really in the long scheme don't matter that much. I should have done more, because then I know I could have done this.
Yep.
And that's powerful, man, because, you're right. When you're young, you think that, geez, I'm training so hard and I'm doing all these things and I have no time in my day. You do. It's just, but that's how powerful coaches, mentors, and parents are to people.
Well, just like what, we were talking about with my journey for business.
Right.
Okay?
With your father.
With my father.
Yep.
The wisdom of my father at the time was, you're going to thank me one day for this. And
do you thank him nowadays for that? Do you talk about that sometimes?
I probably don't thank him enough. I probably don't, look him in the eyes and truly thank my parents for that. I do thank them for the upbringing and the place that I am at, and the lessons along the way, and the good people and the good home that I came from.
Right.
I thank them for that, but I could thank them more for sure. But I think that at that time, that's very much that wisdom coming out in him, putting it forth to his child.
Yep.
And showing me that path. Now, I think that also along that way, I mean, you look at 15 years. That's I think that a lot of people, in business, I think a lot of people think about business in today's world with all the social media and all the things that are going on. It's like, I'll just do the thing and I'll do the thing and then I'll get that thing and then we're going to just be I'll just be a badass and I'm going to have this company and it's just going to be rock and we're going to make millions.
Right.
It's like, that is so far from the truth, and there's such a disconnect and a misunderstanding of what it actually takes. It has taken me 15 years to figure this thing out.
Right. And you're still figuring it out.
And you're still figuring it out.
Yep.
Yeah. Now we're at a point where it's like, okay, we've got things figured out and in place.
Yep.
Now we need to make it scale. Now we need to be able to serve hundreds of clients per every week and eventually push that into the thousands. And it's like, I still don't know how to do that in a perfect cycle of making sure that the cash flows are there, making sure that we're always hitting payrolls, making sure that we've always got the team and there's an energy about the team, and making sure that all clients are communicated with. And, going and doing 257 services in 7 days,
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
So let's talk about this, because I think there's a lot of people around town and around, the world that say, I want to own my own business. I want to run my own company. I want to have a bunch of employees, but I don't know what it's going to take. And I don't know the struggles, right? And you didn't either, I'm sure, before you dove into it. So you have how many employees right now? About?
Right now,
that you're in charge of?
I think by June 1st we'll be at 10.
About 10 people?
Yeah.
Okay, which is a lot.
And I apologize for not knowing the answer, but on the spot, we're constantly transitioning right now because students are coming back from college.
You got the summer and winter.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so things are like day to day. And so I am, right now, I'm so slammed that I can hardly keep track of my day.
So what do you think, what's some of your biggest challenges? So somebody and you're in the landscaping business, which there's a lot of, landscaping business is tough. It's hard. That is a hard business, very competitive, a lot of people in the market. But what are a couple of your biggest challenges that people, that haven't dove into building their own company? What's kind of some of your biggest challenges?
So to speak to that individual that wants to start up a company,
yep.
I generally am going to tell them that, you're going to have a lot of education coming at you.
Absolutely.
Okay. And a lot of that education is going to come in the form of pain, struggle, frustration, because you don't know how to take care of that client. Crap, I dropped the ball here and I forgot that schedule. Oh man, I'm sorry, employee. I totally forgot that, we gave you a pay raise and that, we said that we were going to, give you $15.50 versus $15. Oh man, and we processed payroll. We'll get you covered next week.
Yep.
There's so many things in a day, in a week, in a month, in a season that you have no idea what tomorrow's gonna hold.
Right.
And so, what would I say to that individual? I would probably need a little bit more context as to what are you trying to accomplish and what is the biggest hurdle right now that you're trying to overcome.
Right.
I know for us, accounting, understanding our numbers, those types of things, understanding the flows of our money to make sure that, when we start scaling a company, making certain that all of your client communication, all of your infrastructure, all of your systems, all of your scheduling, all of your metrics, all of those things need to be in place. They need to be a structured system, repeatable system. If they're not repeatable, it falls back on my plate because I'm the one with the knowledge, right?
Right.
So I have to build a system around that. And if I don't build that, I cannot delegate it.
And the system is about the people. So really for you guys, it's accounting.
There's intricate parts to that. Because there's actually software.
Yep.
There's software that, we have not developed software, but we have been working with a software company to develop our company and the infrastructure of our company. So to have metrics built out to the point that, okay, we know what an 8,000 square foot property is going to take us in terms of equipment, in terms of time, in terms of labor, in terms of scheduling, in terms of overhead, in terms of admin. Okay, what is this going to take? So how much do we have invested into it, and what do we get out of it? Okay, all of that needs to be in place if you're actually going to scale a company and make it work, make it competitive. You have to have that in place. If you do not have that in place, good luck. You're not going to move that company forward. And that is not trying to be, a jerk. That's me talking about the reality of the situation.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's probably the direction that I always will teach from is, you may not like my energy. You may not like the way that I push or pull or, the way that I coach. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I think I do it fairly well, but I may come across with a pretty heavy, intense energy towards it. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to save you from pain.
You're right.
Okay. I want, if there's a way that I can save an entrepreneur from pain, if I can save one of my siblings from pain, one of my friends from pain, I'm going to do that. But I only do that by being intense and by communicating with you hey, this is the reality of the situation. You'd better have these 17 things in place. If you do not, you're going to get served some pain.
Right.
Okay. And that, I guess, is where I would probably start my education or tutoring these individuals with the reality of the situations. Okay,
right.
Where are we at today? Where are we going tomorrow? Where are we trying to get a year from now? Okay, what does that look like? Let's break it down in the financial aspect of that. Let's break it down. Let's build a pro forma. Let's figure out what the cash flows looks like. Okay, so now you need to bring on an employee. Do you have the money to do that? Oh, now you want to go grab a thing of overhead like a shop or something like that? Okay, do you have the flow to do that?
Right.
And so understanding that base of what does your revenue look like? When is it coming in? When is it going out? So speeding up your AR, slowing down your outflow.
Gotcha. Yep.
All of those things very much matter. So I get a little bit intense on this because it's so real.
Yeah.
Okay. It's so real.
So this morning we were talking about the last thing I want to kind of touch on in this conversation is the importance and the power of your team.
Yeah.
The people that you build around you. And this can resonate for anybody. Landscape, mortgage, insurance, right? A sports team. Anybody that's going to build something successful. So if they want to be an entrepreneur and they want to run their own company, I think you're as good as your team. And I firmly believe that with what I do in the mortgage industry and knowing through sports and wrestling, whether you got your whole coaching staff. Every coach has to play a part, and you got to have the right coaches with the right people at the right time.
Absolutely.
So let's quickly touch on this. So you got about 10 employees right now. So with your experience over the last couple years trying to build your landscape business, how important to you is the right people in the right positions and knowing how to hire them and how to let them go?
It's literally everything. Like, I can't do it by myself.
Right.
I like, as much as I want to say that I could, as much as I want to think that I'm super strong and super capable, I'm truly I can't. So they are everything. I mean, I can't be having this conversation with you right now.
Yep.
If I don't have my team. Okay.
That's right.
Because right now I've got clients with needs. We've got properties with needs. We've got landscape jobs with needs. I have employees with needs. Okay.
Right.
There's lots of things that have needs right now. And if I don't have a team around me to help me through all of that and to make sure that my clients are happy, make sure that there's any frustration that's being mitigated or being smoothed over, because that does happen. Okay. If I don't have them, like I'm only one man deep. There's only 24 hours in a day, and I'm going to take care of what I can take care of. But at the end of the day, like, I'm for sure without my team, I will drop the ball. I can't answer the phone, do the service, and bid projects and take care of, clients and customer service.
Correct.
All at the same time.
But there's a key component to this, though. There's a deeper layer. People say, "Oh yeah, I need to hire a team, so let's start hiring some people." It's a little bit deeper than that. It's the right people, the right personality fits, right? Kind of mapping out. So building a team is not only about putting people in the seats or putting people out in the field and seeing if they work out. It's about it to you, and I know to me, it's about finding the right people at the right positions that will excel in those positions, interviewing deeper, right? Like you do personality tests, don't you? When you kind of hire some of your staff. Talk about that real quick.
Well, so we do this thing called Colby. It's a conative test.
Okay.
And so it tests the individual at their instinctual level. And it's going to give, I think it's these five different numbers, and it's not like hey, you did really good over here, you did poor over here. It has nothing to do with that. It's just it's an indicator of what your natural instincts are.
Okay.
And so we are pretty bought into that, and it talks about how an individual is wired, where they're going to thrive and where they're not going to thrive. And so knowing what those personalities look like, and then finding those personalities, seeing them on the indicators. Okay, this person's rated like this. Well, let's not put them over there because they're going to be very poor over there, and let's not put them with that type of individual because they're not going to work well. They're not going to jive well together.
That's right.
Okay, so understanding that on a level of instinctual level of character. What is this person's actual character like? And I'm not talking about the integrity character.
Yep.
But the personality. making sure that aligns with what that position is and people that are around that individual, and making sure that it aligns with you and your strengths and weaknesses is going to be the thing, okay? If you have got somebody that's very similar to you, it's not going to work out well, okay? Because you're going to butt heads. If you have somebody that is a complete opposite of you, okay, or in the sense of strengths and weaknesses, you can now really make some things happen together, okay? You take on my weakness, I'm going to stay in my strong suit. You can move things forward. And so you put that together in the form of a team with 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 people.
Right.
You can start to make things happen.
And you know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like a relentless approach at building a team. Because not only are you just putting out job applications and grabbing people as they apply that have a decent resume, see if they work out, and if not, we'll hire and we'll fire, rehire. You're taking it a step further and pulling back the layers and being relentless with your team and going, I want to put the right people in here. So let's do some personality tests. Let's figure out this, figure out that. That's incredible, man. And I think that's why you have been so successful. So I got some questions for you. Okay. So, I always like to throw out some fun random questions at the end, some rapid fires. So so these are going to be quick questions, quick answers. What's your favorite part about cutting a lawn?
The end.
Seeing the final product?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And making the client happy. Yeah, I mean, serving the client, making sure that when they show up at the end of the day and we're making their life just one little thing, making it simple for them to take care of their weekend or whatever. It's probably a combination of that.
Do you like scary movies?
I do not.
All right. Who do you think inspires you the most in your life right now?
Honestly, probably some of the big guys in this industry, because I know what they've had to go through to.
Can relate to them.
Because I mean, I can see what they had to go through to build a grand company, and that demands a high level of respect, because it's
absolutely
it's not easy.
What's your favorite season of the year?
Ooh, business side, it's spring, because it's just, I'm in my peak state. Because it's just things are hitting me crazy. Personal side is probably fall. Hunting season. Outdoors, that type of thing.
Favorite type of date night?
Favorite type of date night would probably be just going out to dinner for a decent steak or a good steak and a glass of wine.
All right.
But pretty simple, a couple hours with my wife, hanging out with her, having a good conversation, and that would be grand. We really do enjoy just grabbing a cup of coffee and going for a drive too. Checking out the countryside.
Favorite cartoon as a kid?
Boy, I really didn't watch much TV.
No. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, no, I would really have to work to answer that.
Okay, that's all right. Okay, something you really hate doing around the house?
Oh.
Chore related, maybe.
Chore related? Well, I don't think anybody enjoys cleaning the bathroom.
Fair enough. Okay, last one. If animals could talk, which animal you think could be the rudest?
Ooh. It's probably, I guess maybe I'm a little bit biased, but it's probably a cat.
Okay. And then what do you think would be the nicest?
The nicest
animal. So a cat would be the rudest. What would be probably the nicest animal if they could talk to us?
Oh man, it'd probably be like a little weasel or something, or a
Okay, a weasel?
Yeah, I don't know. Too cliche to say a dog, so
right.
Yeah, probably a little weasel or something. I don't know.
All right, perfect. Got any questions for me?
Travis, I guess I don't have any funny or the little things, but like, what is it in you that drives you so much to do above and beyond, the basics of what you need to do in a day, week, month?
So it's mainly like right now in my life, day to day, what drives me so deep. And
and so I mean, what drives you so deep? I mean,
it's a two-part approach for me, and I've always, obviously through my life it's changed, and like I always like to reference back to my why, right? Because if you're not living and waking up every single day, so I think the most important thing, man, is that if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing and you feel a little bit lost, there's nothing more important that a person can do in their life is to find out that deep inner heart reason of why they're going to do what they're doing. And if it doesn't line up to what they're doing, you need to get out and you need to go do what that is. And maybe it's maybe you're selling cars, or maybe you're teaching, but deep down your why is not relating and aligning up with that, and it's something else. Jump and make that move now and do it right away and don't look back. Because when you're living under a why, that's where happiness comes from. That's where enjoyment comes from, and that's where success truly gets to the next level. So for me, I have a really deep inner why, and it is I do not want to be. Now, okay, so what I do for a living, and so I guess what this answer is, this is not like why I do the career I do.
Sure.
This is what pushes me every day to go above and beyond the next guy. So why I wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning and why I work really long and I still work weekends when other people are not doing that, it's because I don't want to be looking back in my 50s and saying, I wish I would have done that. I could have done that. Or if I would have done just a little bit more of this, because I want to be retired by age 55. And I want to be able to, and if I'm not actually retired, like, right, sitting off somewhere on a beach, I'm not saying that. I want to say by age 55, I don't want to be waking up doing something day to day that I do not want to be doing. I want to wake up by age 55 and say, today I'm going to do what I want.
Be so refined in what you do that it's just...
It's what I want to be doing. Yep. And if that's building a team of 10 people around me, if that's going to be a situation where I'm doing this now for a living, whatever it is, because I want to be able to spend more time with my friends and family when I get to that point in my life. But I'm not going to get to that point because I won't be able to afford to retire by age 55 if I'm not doing these extra things above and beyond the next guy.
Absolutely.
So that's my inner drive, because I don't want to be waking up 7, 8 in the morning, work until 5, 6 at night, and just repeat and just keep setting the repeat button. And now I'm 58, 59, 60, 65, 68, and I'm figuring out how I'm going to try to retire. That's not going to be me. I'm going to be retired by age 55, but I know to get it, I got to get after it. That's what drives me every day I wake up.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Thanks for being on, my man.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
All right.